Autonomous cars, advanced infrastructure networks, and massive data collection are all disruptive technologies when it comes to infrastructure and therefore the form of the city. Technology is already beginning to change the way we interact with modes of transportation and infrastructures, but the technology is about to change from software to a hardware, a much more difficult transition and a much bigger social impact. One of these disruptive technologies includes the autonomous vehicle. An autonomous vehicle is a driverless car. It requires no input from a human. Can you guys hear this? Yeah? It requires no input from a human other than the end location. In the United States, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers predicts that driverless cars will account for 75% of all vehicles on the road by 2040. Legislation has been passed permitting autonomous cars in 4 states: Nevada, Florida, California, and Michigan. There are about a dozen Google driverless cars on the road every day in San Francisco and California. There's 24 in total. The Google self-driving car project was in place in 2009. By 2011, Google driverless cars had driven over 140,000 miles in California. In April 2014, they had logged over 700,000 miles. The man driving this car is over 95% legally blind, and this was 2012.
Look, Ma, no hands. No hands anywhere. No hands, no feet. No hands, no feet. No nothing.
In September, California joined Nevada in granting autonomous licenses to cars. Audi and Mercedes-Benz actually squeezed ahead of Google in securing permits. And BMW says it would be commercial suicide not to invest heavily in an automated future. It's the most impressive experience we can offer, says Werner Huber, the man in charge of BMW's autonomous driving project. Tesla anticipates 90% autopilot by next year, fully autonomous in 5 years. Nissan expects multiple commercially viable autonomous drive vehicles by 2020. Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW, and Renault expect to sell vehicles that can drive themselves at least part of the time by 2020.
So we've been able to accelerate autopilot and bring it to market faster than originally anticipated. In fact, what people haven't quite realized is that all cars produced for the past 2 weeks have the autopilot hardware. So it's actually in production. In fact, every car coming off the line in Tesla at the factory has the autopilot hardware. The car can self-park, so you'll be automatic parallel parking, automatically go into a garage. In fact, when you get home, you'll actually be able to just step out of the car and have it park itself in your garage, including, it'll open the door and it'll go in and park itself. You can actually summon the car, and the car will come to wherever you are, and it'll use the ultrasonic sensors, kind of like a insect antenna, because it can detect even small soft objects with the ultrasonics, and just it'll sort of slowly make its way to you, and then stop and be ready to go. It can actually go even a step beyond that, which is if you have your calendar turned on, it'll meet you there.
Google is manufacturing their own prototype cars to be ready for sale between 2017 and 2020. They have no steering wheel, pedals, and are 100% autonomous.
Go ahead and buckle up.
Okay, Annie, here we go. Yeah. All right, Connie, let's go. There's no steering wheel in the way.
It was a big decision for us to go and start building our purpose-built vehicles for this. And really, they're prototype vehicles. They were a chance for us to explore what does it really mean to have a self-driving vehicle. But in the small amount of time we've been working on it, we have functional prototypes, and that's exciting.
It's really cool. It was like really kind of a space age experience.
Okay.
Sebastian Thrun from Google's X project says we could change the capacity of highways by a factor of 2 or 3 if we didn't rely on human precisions on staying in the lane by driving a little bit closer on a little bit narrower lanes. Platoons of self-driving trucks are being investigated by Scania and buses as well, and they can significantly decrease the amount of fuel used by taking advantage of the first truck taking most of the drag on the surface of the truck. This can only happen when trucks are driven autonomously because of the close distance the trucks must keep from one another. This brings the question of highways to the fore. Can we convert our highways into self-driving platoon spaces? And if we do so, can we convert that extra capacity to other modes? Will cars drop you off and then go and park at a remote location because it's cheaper, and come back then when you specify? Will models of autonomous vehicle collective ownership replace public transit completely? It's interesting to note that Google has invested $258 million into Uber, its biggest acquisition ever. Will vehicle ownership be based on a subscription model? This one is a model proposed by Lindsay Duthie, one of the students here and a TIPS Lab research assistant. She's proposing a tier 1 at a $125 a month, a tier 2 and a tier 3 level. Each of these corresponds to what you might pay for this service of being autonomously transported. When we look at past patterns of urban growth per transportation technology period, as we increase the transportation technology, we also increase the sprawl of the city. Does this mean that for future transportation using autonomous vehicles, that we will actually have a nodal, even larger area of sprawl than we had previously? And what about inequality? Will these kind of transportation technologies increase inequality or decrease inequality as time passes? Currently, traffic and city planning do not account for the impact of autonomous vehicles. Current political considerations do not account for who might be controlling car or infrastructure networks or whether their interests are public or private. Planners and government authorities need to engage with these in order to direct policy to gain greatest advantage for urban form and societal needs at all levels of socioeconomic status. Thank you.